What's up, y'all? My name is Amir. I'm with my friend Will Blake. We are both gonna have an awesome conversation today. Let's do this. So, as we were just saying, we're having a
Yeah.
great chat already. Tell me about what you do.
Oh, for research?
Yeah.
I'm a PhD student in the pharmacology department at UCLA. I actually don't do pharmacology research. I just study it philosophically, as the PhD implies. But the actual work that I do is in the ophthalmology department. Um, Study basically different diseases that affect the retina. In particular, the disease I'm studying is called Usher syndrome 1B. It's caused by a mutation in this gene called myosin 7A, and we don't really know what it does exactly. We have some clues, but what we do know is if the patient inherits two mutations on both alleles, one mutation on both alleles, and they have no functional myosin 7A protein, they're born essentially deaf, and then they slowly lose their vision from the periphery out, and they experience night blindness. So when we can sort of see at night, they can't see at all, and it's
Whoa.
progressive. So the time they're about, on average, it's a spectrum, but just for averages, by the time these patients are about 40 years old, they've lost half their total vision. So they're seeing in essentially a tunnel. And I don't think there's anything you can do to reverse the retinal degeneration, but what you can do is stop it. Or stop it from getting worse. And so I should say that the hearing loss, the deafness that the patients experience is correctable using a cochlear implant, like a surgically implanted device. But what they hear isn't exactly what you and I hear. It's a little bit different, but they have some sort of sensation of hearing. Um, but for the retinal degeneration, there's nothing we can do. So
Are there any theories on regeneration methods,
I
perhaps?
mean, that's what the hopes with stem cells were. I mean, I thought so too. That's why when I got a master's in stem cell biology from Cal Poly in combination with Salk down in San Diego,
That's
and
cool.
that there was a lot of hope in stem cells. I think at first it hasn't sort of fruited into like therapies really yet, other than blood-borne disorders. So like blood stem cells seem to be the most promising at the present time.
Why do you think that is?
Um, Boy, oh boy, that's a deep question.
I have
Well,
my
there's
own
a
theories.
lot of monogenetic diseases that affect the blood. First of all, we can do bone marrow transplantation. That's a well characterized procedure in medicine. And so, um, if a person needs a bone marrow transplant, you can take another person's bone marrow, expand it out, and reseed a person's entire bone marrow, establishing their whole immune system and lymphatic and blood cells, etc. So if a person is genetically deficient in something, you can treat them using the same gene therapy that we're interested in for the retinal therapies. It's just a more um, common procedure, I guess, the bone marrow transplant, whereas full organ regeneration or partial is more complicated. For the eye, it's a very complex organ, obviously, but it is privileged in a lot of ways in that it's segregated away from the body. There's not a lot of infiltration from immune cells, so it doesn't. You don't have a lot of the characteristic hallmarks of aging, like rapid inflammation or chronic inflammation and things of that nature.
Ah,
But it's a
that's
good organism to
interesting.
use for gene therapies because of that.
That's what I
So
was just thinking. Yeah, yeah.
So retinal gene therapy it's actually exploded. Starting with, I mean, the most expensive therapy at the time when it was invented was from Spark Therapeutics. It was for a RPE65 gene therapy where they hollowed out the HIV virus essentially, took out all the bad parts of it, its ability to replicate, its ability to attack certain immune cells, and then use it just as a therapeutic vehicle. So you can pack in a therapeutic gene and then infect the cells you want with this, and it'll basically deliver the gene that's defective, and so the cell functions like a normal cell.
Whoa.
And that's common. These are gene therapies. They're actually they should be going through clinical trials. In fact, they have to be, because they use this it's exploded in medicine. They use it for CAR T cell therapy, the therapy they use to cure some leukemias and lymphomas,
Yeah, yeah.
and they're using it for the senolytics thing that I showed you, where they can actually use viruses to retrain cells to go in and kill off senescent
Yeah,
cells
yeah,
that are
yeah,
causing
yeah.
all
That was
sorts of
so
problems in
cool.
the body. So it's a crazy like technique that's just it's the future. I mean, and this is sort of this predates CRISPR and all these like targeted gene therapies. Those are more
Oh, okay. So that's I
those are more
would
in the
then,
future.
okay, okay. So
The,
so then you'd say with CRISPR tech getting more prominent that it's going to be even easier to do way more in this area, right?
that's the dream. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it at all. I mean, because you can be so precise with things, and they're just the technology. I was in the lab. I mean, I remember when I was a master's student, it was discovered in 2013. I think it was the very beginning, January, March, something. There was a series of papers that came out, and my lab, we hopped on it right away, ordered it, and I got to play around with it a little bit right in the early stages of it. But the reason I actually after I graduated with the master's, I got hired back at UCLA to essentially bring the technology to UCLA. So I was working in a few labs, just running around trying to implement this gene editing technology. And I mean, there's a lot of people like me. It just rapidly grew, and it's still not really quite. I mean, it probably is. There's probably a version of it that's clinically acceptable, but I don't know if I'm ready to put it in my body. But it's getting close, man. It's getting
Few more
really.
years.
But as far as a research tool, it's completely changed the research biology, like biological research and genetic research, and probably even more. It's so freaking powerful. It's become routine. Like everybody uses it. So I got to be part of the start of it being infused into UCLA culture, which is nice. But now
Whoa.
it's everywhere.
What year was that?
I graduated 2013, and then I worked from 2013 to 16, and that's those 3 years. And then I started my PhD in 2016, I think. Now I'm end of my fourth year. Goes by so fast. I hope I can get out of here in 2, but with this whole thing, it's looking like maybe 2.5 or 3.
Ah.
But that gives me time to build this business, and like my goal is to save up, like maybe build this business, sell off a piece, and use the money to like just move to Amsterdam for a couple of years. Because I have a degree in pharmacology. I need to go somewhere with a really progressive drug law, and the Netherlands has a super progressive drug law. So why not go there, learn what makes their system tick, and then bring it back to make our system better? I think that's my path. That's my path right now. But we'll see. Things change.
So, one of the awesome things about having us together right now is that we're both ingredients formulators,
We
formulation
are.
scientists, compounders. What do you like prefer to call that?
I mean, so I was just talking to someone. They call it a formulator. You can call it I don't know, man.
Like formulator, compounder, formulation scientist, like
Yeah.
chief science officer is also that guy, you know? I
Um,
always I always like to talk to
yeah.
other like formulators, you know, about that.
Yeah, I mean, depends on how, no, on where you want to go with it. I like the word alchemist, but the word it's derived
That's what's
for,
up. That's I've thought about that
but
one
like, but
too.
by classic definition of alchemist is a person trying to create life out of inorganic matter. Uh, but modern, you can change the meaning of things. That's a formulator. I don't know. You got to think of a word.
Because you
Um,
know what the thing is, formulator among formulators is known, but then if you just tell some person I'm a formulator, they're like, "What the fuck is a formulator?" You know?
right, exactly. You'll have to think
So
about that for a while.
yeah, yeah, it's like this community doesn't really know each other too well to talk about these things, you know, because on LinkedIn and stuff, I'm seeing all these different titles for essentially the same, just
Hmm.
formulator, you know.
That's a good question.
Yeah, like I call myself a formulation scientist now.
Right. I'll dwell on. I'll come up with a word that we can adopt and
Yeah,
sort
I'm
of.
like, we need a universal term for this.
Right, we'll run with it and we'll make it.
We
We'll
need we need
become
formulators'
mainstream.
rights.
Yeah. Well, we have a union, you and I. We can. There's a start. I mean, there's a lot of us.
There are,
Uh,
yeah. It's just like it's funny because not.
I think we're among the better ones
I agree. I would
because we
say
care.
we.
You know, I mean, people want to make money. Other people like you and I, we just care about making really, really, really top shelf goods that affect people. To like, not trying to rip people off. We're trying to make people better people.
Yeah, and
Um,
you know what you said earlier. You were like, it's not something I would put in my body. And I'm thinking, there are a lot of these products that I don't know if
dude.
those guys
Oh
would be
man,
putting it in their bodies every day either, and
so
there
many.
they are still selling it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think about it all the time. Like, how could they do that? But it's the money making machine. People, we live in a capitalist society, well, where the truth is just hidden in the mist, and you gotta
In the
like,
money.
yeah, yeah, the money mist. Yeah, it makes
Uh,
sense. I would like to have a lot of money too, but that's not where my priorities are at. I think my
yeah.
priorities are to like be around people that like you help them feel you improve someone's well-being and like uh,
You
sharing
know.
love, like sharing love with other people as a consequence of you bettering themselves is like so much more powerful than anything money could buy me. I
You
mean,
know, that's a really interesting thing you bring up because I consider that a form of capital for me.
oh yeah,
So
it
I
is.
like there's like the monetary capitalism for me, and then there's like it's spiritual
Yeah,
capitalism. Like
yeah,
you're receiving capital for giving something, but it's not a monetary, it's not
absolutely.
monetary capital, but it's still capital, you
It
know?
is. It is. It's
So
more valuable
it's
than like.
super valuable, exactly, yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, and it makes life more like interesting too. To like you just
Super fulfilling.
like waking up and looking at your phone or whatever and seeing a number in an account is so just like, what are you gonna do with that? You're gonna die. Like, look, I have so many digits in my account. Like, no, like that's not what matters at the end of the day. Like you don't want that to be laugh at that. You want to like be laughing with friends who invited you to share experiences with one another because you've shared prior experiences and made each other better. Like,
Yeah.
that's what it's all about. And I guess the the moral of that story is like invest in experience, not things. Invest your money in experiences with other people, not with physical tangible things, because those are so ephemeral. And like if you get emotionally involved with invested in these things, they're just going to break or they're going to get stolen or but you can't ever steal a memory from anybody. Time can, but like it's still there. You'll never erase that it happened, you know
Wow. I
right?
like that.
It's more of a romantic way to think about life, I think. And
Yeah, yeah. Wow. I like it. I like
uh, I
uh
think I downloaded that one of these times. I've been down like figured its way out to like been thinking a lot because I've been able to access crazy amounts of information lately that like were so unclear to me. And I've have this theory that like our minds are so much more, they exist in such a higher plane than our physical bodies. Like our physical bodies
oh
are like
yeah.
the lowest order of us.
Yeah, and then speech too, like this kind
Oh,
of
it's such a
speech that we're
bottleneck.
doing, it's so
So
like
inefficient. Yeah.
spiritually low, you know?
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
Like we should just
Right.
be looking at each other and then like everything should have
Yeah,
just
just
like
convey.
transferred.
I know. It's happening too. That might
I
happen.
have some
That
crazy
will
theories
happen.
about that as well, about why that may be the case right now and why we haven't
Uh,
ascended past that or why we perhaps descended to this position and
oh
are
yeah.
kept here for certain reasons.
Yeah, I'll send you this video. It's a crazy trip. I think it might be circulating, but it's called the Volunteer. It's like a have you seen this piece where there's like these little girls telepathically communicating to one another?
No.
Oh, dude, I'll send it to you. It's like
Oh,
that.
I love those things, dude. Okay,
Oh,
there's
it's so
so
good.
many. Yo, okay, damn, I'm so glad we're talking about
I'll
this.
write
All
this
right.
down.
So, have you seen the dude who teaches you how to like bend forks and stuff with your mind?
No, I seen the
Yeah.
Matrix.
Yeah, Matrix, the Matrix, the documentary, bro.
Oh yeah, I know for sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then there are people who
Makes
can
so much
read
sense.
blindfolded. Have you seen those people?
But I don't doubt that they exist. I
I've
mean,
been trying to train myself to do that for quite some time. It's
you
one
can
hell
do
of
it,
a feat.
man. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll say it for a time that's not recorded, but you can do it pharmacologically induced. It's a better way to get trained, but
That is
I'll
true. That
save
is
that conversation
true.
for another day.
Yes, I am very well versed on that conversations.
uh,
Yeah, but on the other, you could also get there through deep meditation. But you can also boost that deep meditation
oh
real
yeah, I mean
fast too.
you can induce it. You can just
Yeah.
skip the ramp up
Skip
and just
like 30 years of enlightenment to just like give you
yeah.
one of those real quick.
Right, right. It's true. It's true.
Wow. So, what kind of products are you working on right now, if you don't mind sharing?
Okay, yeah. So I mean, I told you the story. We're working on
Yeah, and I
like
just gotta say that I love that you make the, optimal health focused products. So
yeah, yeah.
thank you
I
for
mean,
that.
I can give one example. So there's a roadmap to getting to the plant and fungi based medicine from where we're at, and um, there is a so the first step on the path is a simple product. It's basically just a immune boosting coffee replacement or supplement or like baking product or sort of an all encompassing thing. I won't go too much deeper into it, but it's a better, simpler, more effective version of mud water or like Four Sigmatic type
Uh-huh.
products.
Yeah, yeah.
They're simple to the point, highest grade available, top shelf goods, like really effective and delicious. Um, I mean,
And
that's
what kind?
step one.
What?
And then two is, and there, and it will probably come in a powdered form. That's what
Oh,
I
so
take
this
it
is one of
as.
the prototype products that's coming out?
This will be our first flagship thing that I'm working
Okay,
on right
okay.
now,
Hell
and
yeah,
it's like
hell yeah.
it's moving as fast. I'm actively investing my time, money, and everything into it.
Do you mind
Um,
sharing some of those ingredients?
that one I'll keep secret for now, but it'll be obvious when it's out. But I can tell you the next. So after that is some more functional products. So the first thing is like an immune boosting morning beverage. The second round will have couple of different ones, and they were designed for optimizing the different things that I enjoy to do on a daily basis or how I spend my time. So I study and I read a lot. I'm in the lab and I need to be like fine tuned mentally. And so one of them was to optimize brain function. So that one's called Calm Strong Focus. And it has, these are all sourced from like the highest quality places. I think ashwagandha for just the calm. Strong is reishi just because it's a compounding effect when you take reishi extract every day. You just feel a little bit stronger. And then focus, lion's mane, and mucuna. Mucuna is a bean that produces L-DOPA, so the precursor to dopamine. So it's the best natural source of the dopamine precursor, equivalent to like 5-HTP for serotonin, essentially. And then dopamine does a lot for your attention span. And then um, lion's mane has that uh, neurogenerative stimulatory property to it. And these are just on the surface what they do. They have more um,
Yeah, like neurodegenerative or neuroregenerative
deeper
properties
properties,
and things like
but on
that.
the surface, that's what they do, and they work together to form this nice, calm, strong focus feeling, a brain optimizing formula. So there's another one for working out. It's just called Performance Enhancer right now, and then there's one for socializing. That was actually it was originally made for a festival. They wanted some sort of hangover cure for the crazy substances people were taking to like refill those voids in a short period of time. So we made something and tried it out at the festival. It was sort of I can't believe they gave me the keys to that car. Drive this, test it on all these people. I'm like, sure. But we did, and it worked. This,
That's what I like about you too. You're an N equals one self experimenter, just like me.
well, I mean, I took it before, but then like I tested on this small 3,000 person festival. People would drag their face to the booth. They'd probably been taking. I mean, the list of things they hadn't taken was probably shorter than the list of things they had taken. So they came up, and you could see the effects within 10, 15 minutes. They would just kind of like their brain would turn on, and that's one of the ingredients is actually this algae extract from E3 Live called Brain On.
That's
Um,
awesome.
it has I'll go deeper another time, but it
Hey,
combines that
what was
with
that
other
bean
things that.
called that you mentioned earlier?
Oh, velvet bean is the English name, but mucuna is the sort of name that's came to name it. Mucuna
Looking up Peruvians.
something like that is the Latin name, but it's yeah, the genus name is mucuna, and that's sort of what follows. Um,
Cool.
one of my favorite herbs. I have a lot of favorite herbs, but that's definitely one I take every day. Um,
Is it like an extract of the compound in it?
right, right. So there, yeah, it's an extract, so it's a powder form. You can either do, I think the one I have is a dual extract right now. But you can extract things in different fractions based on the solvents. You can
Right,
do
right.
water, you can do switch steam or water. You can do ethanol is a popular one. CO2 is the new popular one that like cannabis has sort of turned the world on
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
There's also nitrogen extraction, but I really like
Butane.
CO2. Yeah,
Like,
it does get a little. I mean, the hydrocarbon ones get a little more dicey to deal with, but I mean, CO2. If I could do anything, I would take a CO2 extract of anything, just because it's so clean and it takes out just the things you need, and then it's not much fractioning you have to do after that to get to your like, bam, gold product. But
yeah, we use CO2 extract for our isolate for
yeah,
Becker.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's good.
I prefer it.
It's amazing because you can super condense CO2 into a liquid and then throw your plant material or whatever in your biomass and then take out the fiber. And then when you warm it up, so everything gets dissolved in that liquid CO2 except the fibrous stuff. So you take the fiber out and it's just this super cold liquid. But then when you heat it up, the CO2 turns to gas and you're left with just like a pure essence of the plant, which is just, and it's everything in there. I mean, for cannabis, you get like the terpene profile, like all the cannabinoids. It's just
You
like
know what? I
so
gotta disagree
beautiful.
with you there. CO2 in my, like, from my experience is
Huh.
the reason I didn't like it for THC extracts. I like it for my isolate, but
Hmm.
I always felt that the terpene profile did
Ah,
change from the CO2, especially compared to say like butane and then just like rosining like a heat
well, you
press,
know better
you
than
know?
I do. Well, that makes sense. It's a pure hydrocarbon would definitely take out the like lipids.
Like something, yeah, like something would happen with the terpenes that would get
Uh-huh.
degraded in somewhere, like pulled or something too hard, you know.
Well, you know better than I do for sure. And that,
That was something I was really big on because the CO2 game was getting super big. In this was in the THC world. In CBD, it's like CO2 and ethanol are king, you know.
yeah.
But in THC extracts, where people really care about that quality, you know,
Uh-huh.
that was the big thing where a lot of these CO2 extracts were getting big. And then, you know, because they're like, oh, it's better than butane, you know, and then butane just
Uh-huh.
kept ruling, you know, really interesting.
Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with hydrocarbons, just as long as they don't oxidize.
See,
Hydrocarbon.
exactly,
And if
exactly.
it's if it's a clean hydrocarbon solvent, then you're good. But if it's
It's
like an
really
old
hard to
natural,
find it though.
yeah.
That's like totally pure, you know, like with butane, it's like entane they call it, you know, just like
Mhm.
pure butane. But even that stuff is still cut, you know.
Yeah,
So it's
but
really
yes, but
hard to
just to
find the pure.
thrive, to be the best you can be with that. I mean, that's yeah. I don't doubt that's the best.
That's why, yeah, and I feel like in the CBD world, it never really mattered because people don't like aren't Nazis about terps, you know. So
Yeah, it doesn't. They don't taste nice, and
yeah, yeah, like because I mean the
they got
isolated
properties.
stuff, you know, it just doesn't taste like anything, and then like the
Yeah,
oils just all kind of taste like shit. Even if it looks good, it doesn't
yeah,
taste good, you know.
yeah.
Oh, that's another reason I use
Formulating's not easy.
isolate.
You gotta experiment a lot to get it to where you want. But
Yeah, a lot on yourself
I do
too.
enjoy the Specker stuff. I do enjoy it. You're doing a great job with that.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. You know,
In fact, we should make a product together, man. I have some cool ideas how you can make it like a pretty like fusion between both of our worlds.
dude, okay, so first of all, down as fuck. Second of all, I have been studying like different mushroom strains and like
Hmm.
just, you know, mycology, is that what it, yeah, like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's
like just
a whole
been
other.
studying these different topics, preparing for legalization. I already have a few different stacked ingredients formulas of different
Oh,
mushroom
nice.
blends.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, like,
We should try them. We should try them
yeah,
out.
so that's the thing. It's that I want to start getting in with mushroom people because,
Me too.
because,
I'm
there is a lot that
unfortunately
can be
just starting
done.
to get into it.
Like in the industry, the extraction methods, for example, like the extraction
Right,
methods are like
right,
really shitty still. It's really hard to
right.
find like good
Exactly.
powders and
It
things like
is.
that,
It is. It is. Yeah.
So I'm like, hot water extract, like get the fuck out of here. That's not a fucking extract. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
just put it in water.
I'll give a plug to my trusted person that I get all my herbs from. If people, if he's pretty out there, but Brandon Gilbert, the guy who owns Hyperion Herbs, he's of the same mindset that like top quality above
Herbs, huh?
anything. Yeah, check them out. They have, I mean, that's I've tried a lot, and they're my like just stable, high
Oh, hell
quality,
yeah.
good stuff.
HyperionHerbs.com.
Yeah, really, really, really good. He also has like super good incense from Taiwan. Really good Taiwanese teas.
That's so funny. I've been thinking about getting in the incense game myself.
Try them out, man. They're good.
Oh my God. Wow, this is lit. I like his
He does a good
branding
job.
too.
He's good. He's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I haven't met him in person yet. I have to. I have to make an effort to do that. But yeah,
Yeah, it's ultimately all of these extraction techniques we were just talking about in cannabis need to be crossed over into the fungi world,
exactly, man. That's what I've been saying. I said the best thing to come out of what I always tell people actually is the best thing to come out of the cannabis industry is not the goods that you see on the market that everyone's buying. It's actually the extraction methods. If you
Bro,
take that and apply it to
revolutionized it.
if you can if you can apply that to other medicinal plants, you have a gold mine. And
And all the other plants are at such low level extractions. I mean, just look at essential oils. You're just like, that's the best
yeah,
you could get.
right.
That's
It's sad. It's
not that
sad.
great.
Um,
So
and I know somebody's doing this, and they have to because like it would be stupid not to. But that's exactly what I want to do. And as soon as like the CBD and cannabis companies go down, the extractors, that equipment's going to hit the market.
oh, it's
And
already happening right now. I've
oh,
already on LinkedIn. I'm just constantly seeing like new, like, hey, out of business, selling this. The CBD world, and THC is it's done. Like the California is, I argue that it's no longer the mecca of cannabis. Prop
yeah, no.
64 killed California cannabis.
It's so expensive. The tax is just unridiculous. It's just
And
not.
the quality dropped so drastically.
Hmm.
So, even the best concentrates that you can get at the dispensary, like $135 or something a gram.
Crazy.
It's like,
It's not.
dude, nah, man, that's robbery. Like, that's not the culture that we tried to set up here. They just totally
Hmm.
ruined the culture. And that's the problem, is that guys like me and you are retaining that culture of high quality, low prices, taking care of people like one another.
Right.
And
Capitalism kicked in.
that's like, yeah, bro, the government had to get their cut
Mm.
and then they really just fuck things up. But what has happened as a result is that guys like me went into other cannabinoids. My goal is to formulate with every cannabinoid ever discovered. Like that's a life goal of mine. There are over 150 so far, and I'm like, I got two so far. I'm formulating on the
Yeah.
third right now, working on
Yeah.
CBD products.
CBG, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, I was gonna say there's some. I've seen that pop up in some raw material providers, like
Yeah, yeah.
the Treehouse in Colorado, and then Clairson. Those are two really big ones. But I've seen on their availability charts you can get CBG and CBN now. I'm like, what? What
CBN,
do those
yeah.
even do?
I'm
I know what
I'm
CBG does, but like,
Bro, that's why I need to get my hands. I'm currently searching for. Actually, I'm probably gonna get it like in a week or two. CBN isolate. as
Oh wow.
well, because I've tried like CBN products and like high CBN strains,
No, yeah,
but
you want the
an
isolate.
isolate, yeah, you need to know
Mhm.
what that shit really feels like. One of the theories is that, and I argue that this isn't correct, is that CBN is like a sedative, but you can't really
Mm-hmm.
gauge that when you have like 1% CBN and they're like, oh, it knocked me out. Like, that
Yeah,
1%
well,
on the flower didn't knock you. It was the OG that you smoked that knocked you out. So,
yeah,
but I
like
want to see, at a high dose of say 5,000 to 10,000 milligrams, what does it do in comparison to CBD? So far, I'm working my way up on the experimentations of CBG right now. I've
mm-hmm.
taken 1 gram max so far. I need to like
Oral.
hit like, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I need to get to that 10-gram mark. That's usually
Oh
like
wow.
when I got to know the full effects, you know?
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally. I do. There was a group here that approached me. It was actually at the business school. I understand UCLA. They were like the cannabis business group. This is like a year and a half ago, maybe, and they were talking about designing like custom mood formulas, which I've seen at the shops now. They've done that, but with not just with like strains, but with like cannabinoid blends,
That's okay. So
and do a
actually,
blind study and like do it scientifically through using like federal funds through the university, and just pass this stuff out for free and say, hey, report back, give us feedback. That's actually something that could happen. They have
wow.
the power and people to do it. I have the contacts. I've just fallen out of sync with it.
Yeah,
That's
that's, the
something
way
to
you
think
were
about.
talking about branding your products is how I'm considering branding Specker products when we do a rebrand is
Hmm.
like it makes it easier for consumers because consumers don't give a shit about like science, They're just like,
Yeah, well,
I
some of
want
them
to,
do, but in
exactly.
general,
See, and that's the thing. Like, I want everybody to. I keep my style because I want everybody to come up
mhm,
instead of me having to be like, let me just dumb it
right,
down for you. Like, no, let me make you smarter. How about
right.
that?
Yeah, and I've realized as I've taught a few classes, but I've realized like there's the majority of people actually learn from our visual learners. They need like a picture or a movie and a very simple, just a diagram that like goes along with a narrative. And when you tie
Yes,
those two together, it sticks. It sticks. And then if you want to further ingrain it, an activity that goes along with the pictures and diagrams and narrative with a hands-on activity. That's the way you really teach and make like information stick. Um, but
I agree.
that's
That's why I
hard.
do the visual content so much because I
Hmm.
know that that's the easiest way to get these points
Hmm.
across.
Right. Hmm.
And people tell me they're just like, oh, that's a little too like I don't understand those words, and I'm like, watch that one. The words are a little easier to understand.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's
It comes down to
hard.
communication, right? And
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
good, clear communication. We were talking about this earlier. The bottleneck of human communication is that like words, especially English, is so like it's just
Doesn't
not
have the proper words to express all the feelings.
right. It only gets you so far. And even if you know all the language in the world, you still wouldn't be equipped to convey things perfectly. Um, so yeah, we need a better medium. But I think Elon Musk is hopefully taking care of that with Neuralink and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm
We'll
we could
see.
we could also figure out how to just all
Yeah.
connect and ascend.
Right.
That's what
Right.
I'm
Right.
trying
Yeah.
to go in
Yeah,
touch
we
with
will.
that,
Yeah. I mean, that's inevitable. We all die, right? We all go back to the plane.
Well,
But
perhaps
yeah,
perhaps
but like, oh,
in this lifetime.
yeah, I mean, it's accessible. I'm saying I think it is accessible from this life. I mean, watch. I'll show you that video about the thing of the telekinetic girls telling the story about the human experience. It's just a trip, but it makes so much more sense than anything I've seen lately.
That's, like listening to mediums and channelers and those types of people. It's
Yeah.
really
Oh, yeah.
eye-opening. Remote viewers and
Mhm. Oh, yeah, yeah.
do you know about remote viewing?
I mean, I've heard these things. I've seen it in practice with one person in my life, and was my head was spinning for a long time.
Oh,
Uh, But I know
god.
there's a whole network of them. I know they exist
Dude,
and they're
all
out
over the
there.
world, they teach seminars. They got them all over YouTube. It's wild, you know. It used to be a government program. A lot of governments still probably use it. A lot of corporations use it,
Hmm.
you know. So nothing's safe.
Yeah,
Figured out how to tap into the ether, you know, and just get
we're
all the sides.
we're getting there.
I know. I'm excited.
Sorry, I just gotta respond to a text real quick.
No worries. Um, yeah, you know, one of the things I want to do research on is the blend of different mushroom strains with like cannabis strains and seeing the efficacy of the compounds mixed with the cannabinoids because that's why we need the extraction methods to step their level up in the fungi game because
Yeah,
we can extract those different compounds and stuff, you know, and figure out what those are. I mean, that's the thing. In mushrooms and stuff, people don't really care about too many of the compounds in there. And I'm like, hey, we should be isolating these things, you know?
which is crazy because I mean, if you can make that so dense because I mean, fungi, the fruiting body of the fungi are typically just it's a lot of air in there. And it's a lot of carbohydrates, just like a shell. It's chitin and things, complex
Yeah, yeah,
carbs to sort
yeah.
of shell in where the actual nutrients are. But once you pull those things out, like a reishi spore is a good example. Like what's in there is so incredibly valuable. It has one of the highest concentrations of certain triterpenes, which are precursors to hormones in your brain. Um, but they're so hard to access because they're in the spore of the mushroom underneath, and then you can't just pull them out with CO2. You have to crack them first. You have to like freeze thaw, extract, and then pull out the final product, and it comes out as an oil. And you can get it. It's really expensive, reishi spore oil, but that's just one example from one plant, one fungi. Um, but once you concentrate it, I mean, that's like one drop, and you can have some really
Wow.
potent effects.
Exactly.
But I mean, we're not quite there. The cool thing is, like, I'm not once I'm ready to get involved with this, and you too, like, we can plug in really anywhere on the chain. Like, we can plug in on the manufacturing and like the extraction method. We can plug it into formulations. We can plug it in the front lines of connecting and selling it and getting it to the people. You know, so that's why I'm not sort of like in a race to like hurry up and get involved. I just got to do my shit well and to a point where when the time's right to switch over, it'll make sense. Not while I'm in a PhD program, that's for sure, because that takes all my time. But the
That's
time will
that's
come.
why in my head I've been thinking I'm like, all right, how am I gonna do this PhD thing with the business growing thing, you know? Hey, and
Uh,
shout out to you too, by the
I
way.
wouldn't do
I
it. I wouldn't do it.
really
Do a master's, man. You'll get a feeling for what it is.
that's
PhD is not an easy life, man. I mean, it's really not.
what I hear.
I had all my hair color before, and now it's like it's going. It's
Damn.
stressful. But
But you know,
I'm in a
it's
good
you
place
who got
now.
me
But there was a
thinking of
lot.
that, you know? Like just having the conversations with you, I was like, huh, maybe that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be valuable, and I'm sort of doing it for not for just for myself, but for other people, so that like to empower the people around me, because you then have the ability to vouch for other people, and you're vouching powerful because you've endured the test, like endured uh, the workload and the stress and the rigor to gain the degree. And
Hours
so,
in.
yeah, I mean, I don't think I'll honestly learn that much more in the 2 years I have left. Like the amount I've had to learn to get here is most of the learning, and then the last bit is just work. Like it's just a lot of busy work. Um, I still will learn some new techniques and stuff, but for a person like you who constantly needs new things, the last 2 years would be torture because it's like I can't. It's you get paid like minimum wage basically, and you're forced to live in the really expensive part of wherever you go to school. Usually, if it's Berkeley or LA or USC or Stanford, you're in a really expensive area, and you're just getting by. It's like $800 a month to pay for like food, utilities, everything. A lot of people either have family helping them or they saved up money. I have to do like side jobs on the side here and there just to like get by. It's and it's not going to get any well, hopefully it gets easier. What they should do is just incentivize going to be like going to grad school by paying your people more.
Yeah.
That's probably not going to happen. That would be how you make the best scientists trained.
That's not how government works.
That's not how it works.
You're making too much sense there, buddy. That's you've had a little too much to think there.
Yeah.
That's why one of my arguments for this whole downfall of, I guess, the American empire is that if they just downsize the damn military and the empire, they could save a shitload of money. Like, just downsize it to, like, I don't know, a little above over China. It's not like a million times more. It's like America spends more than, God, what? Yeah, you remember that statistic?
A lot.
They spend more than, like the next 10 militaries combined or something.
And I had a cool thought about this when it all started. I'm like, well, now biothreats are a thing. Like
that's what I'm saying, exactly.
So does that not justify reallocating our defense budget for biothreats?
It just shows how out of touch with reality you are.
Right.
And that's like when you're a decaying, dying empire, that's typically the anatomy of a dying empire, is that the politicians of that empire are just like so on a high of their perceived old power structure that they don't realize that the entire world is just shifted around them. And then, I like to study the fall of the Soviet Union a lot to, have a gauge as to what could potentially happen in the United States, where it's like, a lot of the states in America would just be countries, and then the states would turn into smaller little countries. It would be like the Balkans and, Estonia and these countries that were just like, fuck you, peace. Like, we never wanted to be here in the first place,
Yeah.
Think about how fast Texas would be like, hey, we're our own country now, bitch. Peace. That's what we want all along.
For sure. Yeah.
So
I think California would just take all the liberal nations and
I perceive that like the Oregon, Washington, California would form some kind of alliance.
That'd be so unfair. That'd be so unfair.
But nobody would want to live there anymore. Everybody's leaving. I mean, look, like we left LA, it's like at peace.
Yeah.
Big city life ain't the move at all anymore, I mean,
it doesn't make sense.
Is not the move anymore.
Right. I mean, if you have a business, especially a small business.
Yep. Let me tell you,
you just get disrespected.
Highly respected.
And that's another reason I'm thinking about like Europe as a target destination after this, is because like I think I would be treated better and accepted by like all the government and the people there.
The American system don't accept anybody who's trying to make a real change. It's just
right. Unless
power hungry people fighting each other for exactly. See, like you have to want.
And even that, it's dangerous.
It's dangerous. Yeah, it's a game that guys like me and you are like, no, I got better shit to do with my life.
I'll get killed.
Exactly.
I don't. So fast. I'm like, no, not for me. I'll play the game the right way, and
that's the thing. I like the market game a little better, But it's interesting that over the course of 2020, that the sciences have essentially turned into a new government service, where they've just monopolized the information so hard.
Oh, I know. I mean,
that's like, we're sitting there talking about those studies about CBD and cytokine storms. And then like, I'm showing you this one and I'm like, it's the same. What?
Yeah. I mean, it's all linked, man. It's all linked. And like, you can tune in and listen to it too, The cool analogy is we have 50 to 100 trillion cells on our body, yet we don't ever know what's going on in a single one at a given time. It's like, it's so complex. So like, the more you know you don't know, and trying to come up with certain agents that are master controllers of all of it is just sort of like
one size fits all collective punishment for like It's a
Right.
group of people that, a small group of people, and then they put the recommendation on them, and it's just everybody else has to do this now. So,
Right. Yeah.
that's
Yeah. It is what it is.
that's why, yeah, that's the system that we're trying to fight now to make more transparent. That's the one of the, I guess, like, things that makes me sad but also hopeful, because guys like us are going strong with our formulations,
Hmm.
is that with all the small businesses that are shutting down and inevitably going to be shut down in the next 6 to
Mm.
12 months, that means that, like,
Yeah.
a lot of these high quality ingredient sourcers are probably not going to be around. A lot of the high quality
Well,
food,
maybe.
they'll like, a lot of them will probably lose their businesses, but their prices will probably go up on those things. I'm just
Yeah,
thinking about things
maybe.
like the MCT
Maybe.
oil market. I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen with MCT oil when, you know,
I don't
uh,
know. Yeah, you never know. You
like
just sort of
random
adapt. I
little,
think just support the people, the markets that you care about, and keep the people afloat, and like preserve those networks, because yeah,
yeah.
they're under a lot of stress, and they're gonna on the verge of collapse. A lot of them.
Yeah, that's why I like keeping
Um,
close relationships with the people that I source from. I'm actually going to
yeah.
Kentucky soon to
Mm.
go to the hemp farm that gets our isolate, and then the extraction facility, and we're going to do some videos there. Just to lend that level of transparency with Specker.
Isn't
And
isn't Kentucky like turned the whole state turned into basically a mass producer of hemp or something? Like
bro,
they just turned like like screw corn, screw everything else, just like hemp the entire state.
Okay, you know why? There's a historical precedent for that, because Kentucky was historically like a huge hub for hemp in America.
Mm.
And then when it became illegal, they all had to go into crops like corn. And
Ah,
now they're just like,
they're getting
fuck
back. We already
that.
know how to do
This is
this.
our culture. Like,
That's awesome.
So yeah, I really like working with the this team out there. Like, super transparent. It's really hard to find these levels of transparency in the cannabis industry when you're
Yeah.
not, doing it yourself, kind of thing.
Right.
So,
Right.
especially in the CBD market, it's been really hard to find. That's why you're saying, you're like, well, I want to do everything in house and control the entire supply chain, because then it's your
Eventually.
standard.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's
So
why.
that's essentially the same thing with me. But in the meantime, if I can
I mean, but
talk
if it's
to
transparent, then you know what you're
exactly,
getting anyway.
exactly.
So part of that being under your, so they technically sort of are under your umbrella, because there's that trust. And it doesn't physically have to be under your jurisdiction. It can be like as you have now. That
A
is
conglomerate of businesses.
right.
Yeah,
You just,
yeah.
sorry, Amir. I actually have to cut this now. I'm getting
All
picked
right.
up, and like, but to be continued, man. Let's do
Hell
this
yeah, that
again
was a great
anytime
chat. That
soon.
was a great chat. Yo, we
Yeah.
got Will Blake. Do you want to plug yourself? Where can we check you out, bro?
I'll give more information later. I don't. I'm sort of on the covert right now, but
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, you are on the down low. One day this guy is gonna be huge on social media.
we
Like,
have a website. We have a niji.us, niji.us is our held website for now, but stuff will be put there when in time.
hell yeah, hell yeah. Much love, brother. It was so
Hey
great
man, you
seeing
too,
you. It was
man.
so great chatting with you.
Yeah, dude.
Yo, if you're watching this, thank you so much. Subscribe to my channel, like this, leave a comment. I love y'all. I'll chat with you soon. Peace and love.